North Korea has actual concentration camps that are as bad as, if not worse than, Nazi death camps. Hundreds of thousands of innocent men, women, and children are imprisoned and enslaved in these hellholes. The stories told by the few survivors who have managed to escape are horrific. They are beaten, stoned to death, starved, raped, tortured, and mauled by dogs. Sometimes they are forced to kill each other for the amusement of the guards. Prisoners eat rats and insects in order to stay alive. Pregnant women are forced to kill their own babies. About a quarter of the prison population dies every year, either from disease and starvation or execution. While Kim Jong-Un grows ever fatter, his people are starving. Over 70% of the North Korean population is undernourished. Or starving. Rather than make sure that his famished subjects are fed, Kim Jong-un spends a quarter of the nation's GDP on his military and nuclear arsenal. North Korea has threatened many times to destroy the United States with said arsenal. And the starving citizenry must worry that it's already meager. Rations will be stolen by marauding soldiers, who are given carte blanche to loot as they please. Meanwhile, as most of the country lives in literal darkness without electricity, the pudgy dictator invests more and more money into building resorts and amusement parks for himself. North Korea is the world's worst oppressor of religious minorities. About 250,000 Christians have gone missing in North Korea over the years, and currently there are around 50,000 languishing in prison camps. Communist countries never have any tolerance for religion, and North Korea is far from an exception to this rule. Christians fare the worst because their faith is considered foreign to Asian culture, so the small community of believers in the country are forced to meet and worship in secret. If they are discovered, they face not only political imprisonment but summary execution, enslavement, torture, and rape. In some cases, Christians have been tossed off bridges, trampled, crushed by steamrollers, and crucified. Kim Jong-un enjoys creative execution methods. Along with the methods already described, the crazed despot has also been known to perform executions via anti-aircraft missile. A defector reports that a number of musicians were killed this way. Other enemies of the state have been killed by flamethrower or mortar round. Jong-un had his own brother assassinated with a banned nerve agent and his uncle shot to death by firing squad. North Korean citizens were sent to prison camps for not being sad enough about Kim Jong's second death. After the death of the last dear leader, organized mourning events were held. Attendance was mandatory. Anyone who did not show up, or who showed up but appeared insufficiently distraught, was handed a prison sentence. This story sounds almost unbelievable, until you realize that this kind of thing is pretty par for the course in communist dictatorships. Alexander Solzhenitsyn told similar tales of life in the Soviet Union, including one about a guy who was given 10 years of forced labor for being the first to sit down during a standing ovation for Stalin. This is something to keep in mind when you see footage of the North Korean cheerleaders. Their plucky little routines are very likely being performed with a literal gun to the head. In fact, many Russian soldiers were imprisoned after World War II because the Soviet government was afraid that they'd been corrupted by their exposure to Westerners. One wonders whether North Korean cheerleaders and Olympians may suffer a similar fate. North Korea tortured an American citizen to death. Otto Warmbier was arrested and sentenced to 15 years of hard labor for allegedly removing a poster from a wall. He was brutalized for a year and a half while in government custody, and then sent home unconscious. He died within days of his release. North Korea is a giant cult. North Korean citizens believe their government discovered unicorns and invented the hamburger. They think the seasons and the stars changed when Kim Jong-il was born. They also believe Kim Jong-il never used the bathroom, made 11 holes in one during one round of golf, and was considered a fashion icon across the globe, among other things. We tend to laugh about this kind of stuff, but there's nothing funny about it. These people have been kept in both a literal and figurative dark, all information and knowledge from the outside world cut off, and through this ignorance and fear an entire nation has been brainwashed. It's horrific. All of this is horrific. But, hey, at least Kim Jong-un's sister has a nice